Bad Imp
There was a
on
bit
this?
of a discussion on the Twitter platform recently over a tweet by noted Turkish man Hasan Piker. In this tweet, Hasan Piker argued that the US president could end the genocide in Gaza with one phone call. And a lot of really stupid people took issue with this. The tweets in question can be seen here in this post by friend of the show, The Willie Mack Show. So the original tweet is this one by Hasan Piker. One phone call is all it would take to stop Israel's genocide. If Israel doesn't comply, shut off weapons transfers. If Israel looks to get weapons elsewhere, put up a sanctions package. And if that fails, invade Israel militarily. That is why all it takes is one phone call. And this was responded to in really the most generic Zionist way.
All it takes for Hassan to end the war in the Middle East is one phone call or a full-scale U.S. invasion. The escalation of this tweet is hilarious. Oh my God. That is where America's power comes from. That's it. That's not where it's going to go. Why are these people so stupid? I don't understand. It's so goddamn frustrating how stupid these people are. And we have propped up stupid people. Like, the online community has propped up people who are not knowledgeable on the history of the dynamic between Israel and the United States of America. And now they just fucking buy into it. It's just, I don't understand it. I literally don't understand it. Are you so incurious? I fucking laid it out right there. It's reductive. It's within the confines of Twitter word limitations, but
was bringing.
Here's Christian Amanpour also saying it. I guess they need to hear more like famous liberals say this shit because that's the only people that they respect. But I don't even think they respect those people. It's kind of like when I say it's a genocide, I hate Hassan, so I don't believe it. But if fucking other people say it, other people that I trust because they come from like reputable outlets, if they finally say it, then I'll believe it. But Hassan is still in the wrong, kind of like that.
Like, I'm making a video about this. Probably my next main channel video is going to be about this. It's going to be called something like How Zionists Argue or something like that. And it's going to talk about the main Zionist argumentative tactic, which is just repeating back what you said as if it's self-evidently wrong and then accusing you of anti-Semitism. Not always the second part, but usually. In this case, they were gracious enough not to accuse you of anti-Semitism. Very nice of them. They usually would. So the original response is this Twitter account saying, Hassan thinks you could solve the Israel problem with one phone call. There's no attempt to debunk this because, obviously most of Israel's armaments come from the US and they could not easily replace the American weapons manufacturers who give them these armaments. So if the US cut off their supply of arms, they would be unable to prosecute the war. You
need to understand why. I mean, I don't even think these guys know what they're doing in terms of trying to prop up pro-Israeli propaganda. When a Democrat or a liberal, like the liberal Vox reporter, also responded to this and said it's childish and stupid. She knows better. She's doing that deliberately. These guys are just fucking stupid, and they think this is a good way to, I guess, counter whatever I'm saying or belittle whatever I'm saying without any additional information, right? Without any knowledge, without any fucking counter narrative, without any counter examples, is just simply to be like, this guy is real stupid, huh? Right? That's it. And there are plenty of people who have also propped themselves up into believing this ridiculous thing. So there is no value. If someone is so actively well poisoned, you don't ever have to address them. You could just be like, this guy's wrong. And unfortunately, there are certain sides of the internet where people get their notes from apolitical slop tubers where they just genuinely don't think about these things at all. They don't. They just go, oh, Hassan said it, so it must be wrong. It's a very stupid way to learn anything. And that's why you find yourself wrong in many circumstances. And you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't reflexively disbelieve someone in general. I'm saying this about Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tucker Carlson, people who even cynically put forward correct information from time to time. You shouldn't do that for anybody, okay? This is not just for me. You should not do that for anyone. You should always try to investigate further what the claims are and then try to disprove said claims, okay?
Be in real risk of being attacked by their neighbors and stuff because the US support, the US patronage is what allows them to do what they do. So a phone call saying, hey, stop what you're doing in Gaza, withdraw immediately, or the arms transfers are gone. That would end the genocide right away. It's not a question of, could this happen? It's a question of why doesn't it happen? They don't even try to argue against it. They just restate the statement as if it's self-evidently wrong. And I really like the Willie Mack Show response here, because Willie Mack Show seems to have thought that Hassan was saying here that he could call Israel and end the genocide. I don't know.
All it takes for Hassan to end the war in the Middle East is one phone call or full scale. I don't even know if these guys are saying like, I'm going to make the phone call. I don't think anybody actually believes that, right? I hope people don't literally believe that. They can't be that stupid. I mean, that's stupidity beyond what I'm accustomed to online. I see a lot of stupids online, but this is like a new level of stupidity. I don't think he's saying that.
How to take this aside from him saying that. All it takes
They
for
are
Hassan,
saying that? No, that's what they think, Law. No, I think it's better for us not to assume that our interlocutors are just like that dumb, okay? I think they're dumb, but they're not that dumb, right? It's better to assume, it's better to try to be charitable. I don't think he's saying you would make the call. He's saying for, as in Hassan's view, which is only slightly less stupid. Yeah, I think that this is him just saying, this is my view. Ethan literally did post that you think you can make that call personally. Really? Okay. Yeah, I guess I just had, what? What is this? Hassan, who would solve Israel and Palestine with one perfect phone call, and Noah, who thinks the Houthis are the only ones following international law. The fact that these airheads dominate lefty discourse on Palestine is a bigger gift to Netanyahu than anything else they could accuse me of doing. Why? These guys are political commentators, right? Like, just address the issue. Like, address the argument. Explain why America does not have this level of control over Israel, despite the fact that America has supplied 70% of all offensive and defensive weapons to Israel. Explain how Israel would make up for the lack of munitions that they are getting from the United States of America. Then explain how many Israeli military officials in the past, and even during this instance of genocide, has actively told the media in Israel that America has demanded that they scale back on certain instances in spite of what the Israeli public is demanding. And they've literally said, we can't do this without the United States of America. Explain why throughout Israeli history, American politicians, American presidents have actually made that one singular phone call to stop Israel's atrocities. Explain all of that. You know, there is no Israel without America. It's that simple. Why don't they address any of these points and instead just go instead they just like vaguely gesture into the fucking wild and go, this guy's such an airhead. He's so dumb. What is this? Does Ethan think Hassan is saying he's the one who would make the call? What the fuck is this dude saying? Me when I'm daydreaming in the shower about being a hero, and then everyone stood up and clapped. I mean, he's implying that, but I think it's so stupid. It's irrelevant. It's not even worth addressing. Who cares? Like, this is the expectation I have from a slop tuber, certainly, but it's not the expectation I have from like a person who is, I guess, my ideological opponent here. You know, a person who is who is making this claim that I'm wrong should probably explain why I'm wrong, right? It's very strange. There is no continued genocide without American weapons, okay? It's that simple. And not only that, but also, if America cut off weapons to Israel, which would never even happen because it wouldn't get to that point, Israel does not have a meaningful way to make up for that supply chain, okay? Especially in the short period of time necessary to continue this genocide. Who are they going to go to? Because when America shuts off weapons, you could say, oh, well, they're going to get it from Germany. Germany doesn't have the same industrial base that America has for a steady flow of weapons. They don't have the same arsenal. They do not have the same industrial base. And also, many of the weapons that Germany would probably send to Israel in the interim would not even be German weapons. They would be American weapons. So if America is shutting off weapons, then Germany cannot send weapons to Israel. That's number one. Number two, let's say they're getting it from Russia, right? Also wrong for a multitude of different reasons. One, because Russia is invested in pummeling Ukraine. They do not have that runway to make up for it, okay? They have their hands too busy with Ukraine to begin with. But also on top of that, they have a strategic allegiance with Iran, as well as a strategic allegiance with Israel as well. But because of their strategic allegiance with Iran, they can't let go of their partnership with Iran either. Okay, Iran is still an important player in the region and an important player against American interests in the region. There is no place they can get it from, with the exception maybe of China, which I highly doubt China would out of nowhere, start supplying Israel with a steady flow of munitions so they can continue doing their genocide, no matter how much they fucking love trade maxing. Okay? China is their number one supplier in general for their economy. It's profoundly important to the Israeli economy. They do a tremendous amount of trade with China. It's their number one. It is the number one country that they trade with. Israel trades with. Okay? China has a lot of influence here as well, which is why I've also routinely criticized China, just kind of gesturing against Israel and being like, Palestinians deserve to live, please stop, and then never really following through with any sort of coherent policy there. But there is no country that Israel could go to that could give them the same amount of and the same steady flow of weapons in the short period of time necessary if America shut off the weapons transfers. This is precisely the reason why it takes one phone call. But let's say Israel was in this hypothetical scenario capable of making up for the lack of munitions, and they were able to literally go and work Chinese weapon systems. Let's say China decided we're arming Israel. Okay? That's the only country that has the bandwidth and has the industrial base to be able to supply weapons to Israel, right? America and Israel's allegiance has fallen apart. All of a sudden, America is anti-Israel. They said, no more weapons, right? Let's say China is actually sending the weapons. Let's say that while China is actually sending the weapons, Israel what? Magically figures out how to operate Chinese weapon systems? Like, you have to get trained on this stuff. You can't just like come in and be like, all right, perfect. Now these anti-aircraft defense systems that they shipped in, which is a logistical fucking nightmare to begin with, we can now use. You can't do that. It takes a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of training for people to be able to start using this stuff, okay? You know this from what happened in Ukraine. It's not fucking plug and play. These are foreign adversaries. Israel is an ally. Israel uses American weapons. They do not use Chinese weapons. They use Chinese surveillance and things of that nature, Chinese drones, but they do not use Chinese weapons. They can't. It's an entirely different weapon system. America would never allow that anyway. America would nuke Israel before allowing Israel, who at that point would still retain a bunch of American weapons, a bunch of American like missile systems, to then all of a sudden bring in Chinese weapon systems onto that same platform. That would be insane. That would destroy any kind of security America had, because now Israel would give everything to China. Okay, there are a million different reasons as to why this would never work. But let's say it did work. Okay, let's say it did work. Let's say magically all of these impossible things took place, and Israel was able to perfectly take all the Chinese weapons and change their platforms to the Chinese platform, and were able to fucking train themselves overnight and started using that to continue as genocide. At that point, America would just destroy Israel's economy. That's it. America would say, no more trade with Israel. If you trade with Israel, with the exception of China, let's say, because it's too much of a powerful player in the global marketplace, they would just fucking pull a Cuba on Israel. They would do a full-blown embargo. They would stop other countries from trading with Israel. It would, again, never get to that point. Regardless, I can't stress this enough, because that is the reason why all it takes is one phone call. And let's say Israel says, fuck it, we're doing full genocide. We don't care. You can kill our economy. Okay? You can kill our economy. We still want to do genocide. At that point, they would invade. Okay? That's it. It never gets to that point, and it never has to get to that point, because it starts and ends with one phone call for this reason. It would never in a million years get to the point where America's invading Israel militarily. Okay? That is why all it takes is one phone call. Even from the first step to the second one, there is a tremendous amount of impossible things that are literally physically not possible for Israel to do to be able to continue its fucking genocide. Okay? Once again, 70% of all weapons that Israel's using, both offensively and defensively, are supplied since October 7 by the United States of America.